It's the weekly show about Pro AV with the hottest news in the AV industry. It's rAVe TV. Give it up for Steph and Gary. Steph and Gary.
We are back.
We are back. Happy New Year, Gary.
Thanks. Same to you. How are you doing?
I am, I'm here. And that's all that I can offer sometimes.
Our excitement for the day is not only this show, but we get Asian food for lunch from this place called Hawkers, which is local, that we're really excited about.
Yes. It's so good. So if anyone watching, if you ever have the chance to eat Hawkers, highly recommend it. Pretty much everything on their menu is super good. So that's always like a nice little pick me up for the middle of the week.
Yeah, there's only like 355 days left till next Christmas.
Oh. Yeah. Start the countdown now, I guess. Like, what's the point of even packing up your Christmas stuff? Just like leave it out.
Some of my neighbors do that. They just leave their stuff out, the lights and stuff. It's like a thing. You know that's a thing in North Carolina, in rural North Carolina.
Yeah, leaving the Christmas lights on all year. Yeah.
Right, and you just turn them off because then they're not noticeable, and you just plug them in during Christmas season and they're noticeable.
That's what my dad does sometimes.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
So did you go to Reykjavik over the holiday or what?
No, this is actually, I got this. This is like, I sound like such a hipster, but I got this sweater at a thrift store in New York City.
It looks like something a James Bond, like a James Bond villain or someone would wear. Or actually, maybe one of the James Bond girls, whatever they call them. On the
I think they just call them Bond girls. Yes.
Girls, yeah.
Yep, that's me. James Bond's one of his girlfriends who skis occasionally. No, I've never skied in my life. I'm not, that's like too sporty for me. I have a really bad history of being injured anytime I've ever tried to play sports. And with skiing or snowboarding, there are so many things that could potentially go wrong. And I'm a Murphy's Law type person. So like if there's an ability for me to get hurt, I will get hurt. So I'm not supposed to ski, I don't think. I don't think that that's in the cards for me ever. Have you skied before?
I have. I love skiing. I'm nervous about doing it because of all the injuries, that I've had recently. So it makes me just nervous about it in general. Yeah. But I do love it. I mean, I miss it, It's like you have to make a decision at my age between skiing and running or walking properly.
I think I have to make that decision at my age as well.
Maybe.
But I think like going to a ski resort would be fun. Like you just hang out.
It's definitely fun. It's definitely fun. But you want to have someone to hang out with too. So.
Yeah, that's true. And I would want to have like a ski instructor who is like prepared, for how many things could go wrong when dealing with me. You know what I mean?
Can a lot of things go wrong? What do you mean?
Yeah, like I think I would end up with like a broken leg.
Okay.
Like I'm clumsier. Yeah, I already have a broken toe right now. So yeah. But anyway, so
this is, by the way, for those people who are new.
Oh yeah.
What are they watching? Why are they watching us just sitting here talking on our website?
This is rAVe TV. This is a show that Gary and I started to talk about. I mean, we could talk about skiing. We talk about AV news. We just kind of talk about everything that's going on in our industry, trade shows coming up, trends, everything like that.
Yeah, and we come to you live every week at ravepubs.com. on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn. So anywhere you're watching us, thanks for watching us. Thanks for joining us. We are excited. There's a lot happening in the spring, starting with CES going on right now, which we'll talk about in just a second. But we'll also we'll talk about in upcoming episodes, ISE, which is the first week in February. And then you got DSC, and then we got NAB. Then we have Infocom, all these shows that are sort of happening and sort of in limbo. Everyone's a little nervous about whether shows, if shows happen, are you excited about going? Or are you nervous about going, Steph?
I am excited about going, I think. Like, I mean, there's a certain level of like just preparation for any time you travel, where you're like, I could get COVID from this.
Yeah.
But that's when you just kind of have to make a choice, and you have to make sure that you're being safe when you're traveling and respecting the guidelines and respecting the rules of every trade show. But I mean, I just miss doing it, so I'll do it and I'll be as safe as possible when I go. So that I think I've just kind of resigned to that. I think you have too, right?
Yeah, I mean, you just got to be respectful, got to be careful. I feel comfortable because I'm triple vaccinated, and I feel like, the people that I know that have gotten this new variant that are triple vaccinated are doing really well.
Happened. Yeah.
Yeah. My own daughter, one of my daughters actually has it. Second time she's got COVID. She's got this version of the variant, and she didn't know she had it. The only reason why she knew is because she's, as you know, an athlete in college, and they test at her school. They're testing them every 2 days.
Yeah.
So she would not have even known that she had it had they not been doing regular testing. So.
Well, I told you I was exposed to someone who had it.
Yep.
And the person who had it was triple vaccinated and had no symptoms at all, and didn't know she had it. And I hung out with her before she knew, and I never got it.
Yep.
So that's just
good.
that's like an ad for the vaccine. Nothing happened to me at all. I was tested
so check
5
this
days
out.
after, but what's that?
Okay, so speaking of CES, that's a TV. So I know you like the frame. This is a new type of LG. This is an LG OLED that literally leans up against the wall. And what it's interesting about it is you can't tell this from the image, but that bottom piece is a bunch of speakers, and it slides up to cover the screen. Or you can partially slide it up so that just the top of the screen is showing, and on the top of the screen you can have widgets like weather, news, stuff like that scrolling across your screen. And it comes in 43 inches all the way up to 97 inches.
That is interesting.
Yeah, it's an interesting TV. It's OLED. LG's going big on OLED at CES with all sorts of new designs, including, like I said, a 97-inch version of OLED, that's stunning. The black level OLED is amazing. It's going to generate a lot of excitement because, people just love, in our industry, we love big, good quality, big screen images. And, and we're going to have a guest on today, by the way, who is an expert at a lot of things, but I've learned a lot from this guy, Joe Cornwall, who has taught me a lot about USB and the kind of communications that you can do across USB, but he is a wealth of knowledge about lots of things. I'd love to get his take on what brand of TV is his favorite and what he has in his house, because he's going to be picky as all get out.
I mean, my thing, which is I hate it because it's a classic millennial thing. I want it to look as simplistic, as minimalistic, as artistic as possible. I love the Samsung frame. That is my crowning glory. That is my favorite thing that I own. And I have been looking at the Leon speakers that go on your wall, and they look like a piece of art as well. I just want my house to look like an art gallery is basically what I'm trying to say at the end of the day.
Well, we are excited to have yesterday we made a big announcement after a few months of working on this behind the scenes. We announced a partnership with HB Live. Now, HB Live used to be part of HB Communications, then broke off and became their own company for the last decade. And HB Live is the premier live events company in the U.S. I mean, even their competitors, companies like AV Chicago, look up to HB Live as being the premier live events company. We partnered with them. We now have a partnership with them to bring Launch Hybrid to the market. We've been doing hybrid events now for a couple of months behind the scenes, practicing with different methodologies of doing it. And now we are ready to roll it out. And so when you order Launch Hybrid from rAVe, which basically means, Steph, if you're doing a live event, we will take your live event and bring it online, but we won't just stream it. So the live events, the live part, you get the quality of HB live production. And on the online side, you get the quality of launch production put together. And what you get is a curated experience. So the online audience gets a different experience than the live audience, including MCs, sort of like sportscasters for the broadcast, including networking where the attendees can network with each other, or even ask questions live to the presenters like they're in the room. And so it's a totally different experience. No one else in the industry is offering a hybrid experience. We are the first company to offer a hybrid experience. So if you're doing an event this fall, whether you're an integrator or a manufacturer, and you're doing something live that's going to be regional, and you want to make it national, this is the way to do it. You partner with us and HB together in this new service called Launch Hybrid, and we will bring you a professional production. So I'm very excited to make that. That's
really exciting. I like that the comparison to it being like sportscasting, because that's literally what it is. It's like having sportscasters on ESPN who will, okay, wait, let's go watch that back. Let's talk about that really quick. People at the game aren't seeing that, but everyone at home is. So that's kind of exactly.
The people online actually get a better experience because they get they get a curated experience, but it's also narrated. So a good example of that, Steph, is, you know how when you go to a live event, there's the housekeeping stuff where the person comes up and says, okay, let's talk about today and where the sessions are going to be located, where the bathrooms are, when lunch is going to be served. When that's going on, the online audience in a streaming world, a virtual world, that sucked because the online audience got nothing out of that.
Yeah.
But in a hybrid experience, what we're bringing to you, we have MCs that will entertain you. And so, for example, for the Alamo E4 event that we did last month, while that stuff was going on, we took them live to the show floor. So they actually got a sneak peek of the show floor before the attendees could actually go in the show floor. And we also showed them some of the new products that are being launched. So you're getting a more curated experience, and we custom curate it for each and every single event. We don't do it formulaic.
Right. That's cool.
So,
in other news, Nathan Haynes, he wrote a column just kind of like starting the new year fresh, and it's called Psycho. And I was like, wait, is he writing about the Hitchcock film? No, he's writing about psychoacoustics. So it is in line very much with AV, but he talks about how psychoacoustics is very much an AV thing and not an IT thing. So he formulates it into an argument on how he thinks that AV will never be IT, IT will never be AV. They're two separate things, but they help each other move along as they move forward. So it's very different from what we all know is Scott Tyner's argument that AV and IT are the same thing. So, and he talks about that in there. He was like, I personally disagree. But it's good to have disagreements.
I can't wait for Tyner to respond.
Oh yeah, me too.
You know he's going to. You're egging him on there.
Yeah, he's going to write another, but that's going to give him another idea for another column. So either way, that gives us more content. So I'm excited about it.
Speaking of content, our partner for rAVe TV, as you know, in addition to Shure and these beautiful rAVe purple microphones, is Legrand. And Legrand has this guy who's I'd say he's Mr. Education when it comes to Legrand, or Mr. Legrand, whatever you want to call him. Joe Cornwall. I want to introduce everyone. I don't even know that he needs an introduction. Joe, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Gary. Hi, how you doing, Steph? Great to be with you guys today.
Great to
have
you.
Happy New Year, right?
Yes, Happy New Year.
Same to you. So tell us what's going on. I know that y'all are doing a tour. You're going to do a roadshow tour, which we've already helped announce, and some cities are coming up, and hopefully we'll help.
Yeah, I mean, the world changed, so we kind of looked at it and said, so how can we approach things differently? And one of the things that we came up with is, yes, there are going to be in-person shows. Yes, there'll be hybrid shows, but now we're also going to have a traveling show with a trailer that we can take to various locations, show off new product, really interact with the customers in a safe and responsible manner. So, adapting to the new world that we live in.
So tell us what you're working on. Like what kind of educational stuff and classes can we expect from you?
Yeah, we actually have a really interesting program coming up here in 2 weeks. It actually is going to be 2 weeks from yesterday. This is going to be between January 18th and 20th. So each of the 3 days, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, for lunchtime from 1 p.m. until 2:30 p.m. Eastern time, we are doing an emerging tech week. So this was just, kind of, we were having this conversation. How do we kick off 2022? How do we really find out where the horizon is? Because we've all been looking at that immediate, how do we survive the next 30 days? We don't know what's going on. All right, let's figure out what's going on in the next 3 years. So we came up with a program, and each day has a real interesting series of focuses. So for instance, on day one, we're doing an interview, a program with some of our experts from Vadio, and we're going to be talking about artificial intelligence and how AI, first of all, we're going to talk about what it is. More importantly, I think we're going to talk about what it's not. And then we're going to talk about how that is integrated into things like conferencing cameras and microphones and all of the things that we do in commercial AV. And then following that, on the same day, that'll be a 45-minute session. On the same day, we'll then be talking to some of our experts from Luxel, and we're going to explore this emerging idea of Wi-Fi 6, Wi-Fi 6E. And here's one that's really going to take your breath away. You know, we're already looking at Wi-Fi 7, right? Uh-huh. I mean, so we've got all of these. Wi-Fi 6 really is just starting to catch on. We're going to figure out, where does it fit? What do we do with it? Going into the second day, we're going to be talking to some experts with daylight screens, literally a larger view. What's happening in the projection industry in the view of the way AV has changed today? And then we'll follow this up with talking to some of our folks from Middle Atlantic, specifically looking at how do we control, measure, and purify the power that makes everything run. This is so critical as we start really moving into a DC world from an AC world. Let's take a look at what's happening there. And then the third day, we really kind of take a little bit of a different turn. We're going to start the day with a guest from Legrand's Building Control Systems division, where we'll be talking about this thing called Matter and the Connectivity Alliance in the era of IoT. So the idea behind the Connectivity Alliance is it has created an IP-centric system that allows cross-operation with Zigbee, Z-Wave, and IP-based IoT peripherals. And as you all know, IoT is so important to the AV world. You know, I kind of laugh when we talk about, is it AV, is it IT? It's communication.
And I was talking about it.
Communication. It's getting information out there. The rest of it is just detail. And then we'll follow that up with my favorite topic, and Gary, the one that you've probably seen me talk about more often, and that is USB 4 and Thunderbolt. And I will have an expert on who will be talking about the next generation, where we're going with that, and some of the just utterly ridiculous things that you can do with a little tiny port now. I mean, 80 gigabits per second. Really? Who thought that was a good idea?
It's amazing, especially helping video distribution in a lot of places in the future. Joe, I got a question for you. So how can we register for this? I know that for those people that are online right now, we've posted registration links, but if you're just watching us on ravepubs.com or you're driving in your car listening to us, how can we go register? Is it on your homepage?
It's on our homepage. We're also going to be seeing this in social media, so look for it in LinkedIn and Twitter and the Facebook pages, and we'll publish the links that are out there. We have, if you just look for Legrand Emerging Tech Week, it'll come right up on top of it. Now, the one thing about it is you do have to register for each day separately, right? Just because of the way the system works, you can't register for all 3 days. So I'd love to have everybody there for all 3 days. If you're only going to go to one session, you're still basically registered for both of them. So register for the 3 sessions, grab your lunch, grab your cup of coffee. We're really going to make this interesting. And I promise you the one thing about this that I take very seriously, and that is it's not rehashed product marketing, right? We're really going to be talking about how do these technologies impact our industry and indeed our lives, the way that we talk, because I think that's the most important part about commercial AV is it really does inform our culture. It allows us to be different than we would otherwise. And these technologies, they're going to allow 2022 and beyond to be very different than anything we've seen before.
Yeah, I mean, I think it can't be overstated how much our industry has helped get the world back open slowly as it has been.
Absolutely.
Joe, thanks for coming on today, and thanks for all that you do for the industry. I know that you are one of the few people that is probably certified tens of thousands of people in CTS RUs, and I think that's a heck of an accomplishment. I think that it should be recognized, considering the fact that all that is volunteer work. So thank you for doing that, Joe.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us today, Steph. What else do we got in the news?
All right, so this company Magnuma released this thing called the AirPoint Ring, and I just wanted to talk about it because I thought it was so interesting. It's basically a wearable mouse, and it allows like teachers. Oh, you have it. Oh, well,
Go ahead. Keep going.
Oh yeah. So it allows like teachers and people presenting to have like air gesture control over like anything that they're showing on a presentation, like behind them. So the guy that developed this, where did he go to school? He went to California State University, and he was a firmware engineer at IBM, and teachers kind of brought to his attention that they like need a controller that does more than just a clicker, because all a clicker does is just advance your slides, right? Like they need to do like a few other things, like maybe switch to YouTube to show a video in the middle of their presentation. Regular clicker doesn't always let you do that. So it's very, very cool. So he collaborated with a former colleague, and they developed this thing, and it got its first patent in 2017. So
yeah, so it's a ring.
Very cool.
It is truly a ring, and what's cool about it is it has little tactile buttons on the side and on the top, and it's gesture based. So if I want to change slides, I can move my hands one way or the other. If I want to lower the volume, it's got some cool features in it. It's programmable too. It's very small.
Yeah.
And I'm going to start using it to teach with. So I'm going to see how I'll be able to give you a review on it.
Okay.
As soon as I wrote that article, I jumped on there and bought it because I thought it was a great thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool. And also it has a little, I don't know if you can see this, but it has a little mouse. It has like an IR sensor on the bottom of it. And you put this on a table and it acts like a mouse, right?
That's cool.
It has the mouse, and it actually has a button on the inside that when you press it, it has the enter button for a mouse, right?
That's
neat. And with the Mac, for some reason, Windows still requires 2 buttons. They haven't figured out how to do it with 1 button. With a Mac, you only need 1 button, so they've got that in here.
Joe just said, "Oh my gosh, want." Yeah, like this is like I wanted to talk about this one and share this one because that's a cool product. That's like, I don't.
Magnuma is the company.
Yeah,
it's only about $150. Joe's in the background cheering us on here, and it has a really interesting charger design. I don't know if I can get this across to you, but I don't know how well this comes across online, but this is a little case that sorry about that. Sure. A little case that you have here that you store it in, and the case,
oh cool,
not only store it in it, but you can also
you can like travel with it.
Yeah, you can. Well, I don't know if I'm going to travel that big of a case, but it has a little charging mechanism there, and it allows you to store it.
That's
it's almost
very
like
cool.
It's almost like showing a Star Wars archive piece, right? How
always
little
bringing it back to Star Wars. I always bring it back to Star Wars. Yes. Yep. But that's really cool. That's like a very I think that is going to be a product that we're going to see a lot of end users with in the next lot
teachers.
of
it's great for teachers, great for instructors. That's why Joe's want one because I guarantee. Bring Joe back on. I want to ask Joe this question. Bring Joe back on. We're gonna bring him. He's just hanging out in the background. Joe,
I'm here.
I want to know if you agree with this. I'm someone like you who presents probably out of 200 working days a year. I present probably 50 to actually considering as much as I teach. I'm probably presenting 100, 110, 120 days a year, including my classes. I am always in search of the perfect wireless mouse, and I have not found it. I've always gone back to, the best I could find, right? Which I have in my backpack here, which I'll pull up. But I'm always looking for gadgets like this that make it better. What do you think? What do you think about this product?
That is mind-blowing, and I'm with you 100%. There's nothing more challenging when you're presenting, when you're teaching, than trying to deal with your technology and the traditional mouse. I always had a problem with blanking the screen when I tried to hit the laser pointer because it just, yes, that is perfect. And you can't put it down and forget where you put it while you're standing there lecturing because it's on your finger.
Because that's another thing. I will say the first day of class, this is terrible to say, but first day of class to my students, I'll point to one person because you know how they all sit and they stay. It's weird in universities. They all stay in the same seat the whole semester. Whatever they claim, they end up staying there. And I'll say to someone sitting in the front, you're in charge of telling me where I put the mouse down every single time I put it down. Because it's ridiculous how 3 minutes later, you cannot remember where you put the damn mouse down. Sometimes it'll be in my pocket. I'm like, how did it get in my pocket? So, yes.
I have lived that with you, Gary. I have lived that with you. Yeah, no question.
Yeah, so anyway, thanks for coming back on, Joe. Also, just this week, Steph, NEC started shipping their 1843 laser projector. It was a blue laser. this is killer technology because this is what's
Yes.
used in digital cinemas, but also can be used in rental staging and projection mapping.
Yes, I do think that they kind of see it mostly for like a static, like a permanent installation, but I do
Yeah.
think that you can use this in rental and staging as well, because like in their vision and their line of vision, they see it as like a museum, house of worship, art exhibit, like very forward thinking like type of installations. So yeah, very cool.
Have you ever gone to the state fair and
Yeah.
won one of those goldfish?
No, because I think that's kind of cruel,
Yeah.
you know?
My daughter, one of my daughters always seemed to come home with a goldfish. We didn't know what to do with it.
And then it's like
She-
dead in a week. Yeah.
She kept it alive one of them she kept alive a long time. So she
Uh-huh.
actually did a pretty good job with that. But yeah, anyway, speaking of goldfish, how was that transition?
That's where we're going with this. Okay, I see the vision now.
We have a message to you from Shure.
Hi, I'm Chris Lyons with Shure. When I'm on a conference call, I devote my full attention to whatever is being discussed. Okay, that's not true. I normally am multitasking, and I often forget to mute my microphone. Yes, I'm that guy. Fortunately, IntelliMix Room DSP software has a feature that is designed to deal with people like me. It's called the AI denoiser, and it gets rid of common random room noises that can easily disrupt your meeting audio. I really don't know how it works. I think we reverse the polarity of the phantom power or something like that, or maybe it's digital. I don't know. But the point is, it works. Now, if I'm in a meeting, I like to click my pen. It kind of helps me think. So if I start clicking my pen, it might be disruptive and heard by the people on the other end of the call. But the denoiser knows how to take out the clicking of the pen and not disturb my voice. I like to look smart during a meeting, so I type on my keyboard a lot. People think that I'm taking notes or sending an important email, but I'm really not. Here's my pro tip for looking more productive. If you have one of those keyboards that's really quiet, doesn't make much noise, just type extra loud so it draws more attention to it. Now, of course, the denoiser can tell the difference between the keyboard clicking and the sound of my voice. So it gets rid of the keyboard, but it leaves my speech where it should be. Send. Probably the most annoying thing I do during meetings is eat. Now, I like meetings where they bring in pizza, but I try to keep some snacks around my desk just in case that there's, a meeting that runs long and they don't have any food. And so, fortunately, with the denoiser on, it takes care of all that noise, and I don't have to worry about crunching chips or cookies or anything else. Sometimes it's actually pretty difficult to get these bags open. You would think they make them easier. But once I've got a snack ready, then I can go 2, 3, 4 hour meeting, no problem. The denoiser is included with IntelliMix Room DSP software. If you're already using IntelliMix Room, just upgrade to the latest version and you'll have it. And then you don't have to worry about being that person.
I love that commercial.
Wasn't that great?
It's
Wasn't
my
that great
favorite
transition. Though? I mean, wasn't that a great
Yes.
segue, as they call it in radio?
Yes, a great segue.
Segue. How do you spell segue in that case? Isn't it spelled really weird?
Yes, SEGUE.
Yeah, SEGUE. Yeah, that makes total sense.
That's on me winning the spelling bee in 4th grade. So
Yeah.
continuing
Yeah.
on. So the last column I have to show, the last thing I have to show everyone today, this is a column written by Jacob Blunt. As I've talked about before, he's one of my best friends, and he also has a foot in the House of Worship market, and he used to work at rAVe, but now he writes for us. And he had a hand in the production of Pilgrimage, which is a House of Worship kind of conference in North Carolina. And what he did was he talked about everything that they use to make that experience possible, just kind of as an advice column to help other houses of worship or other groups who are helping put on similar experiences this year. So it's very useful if you're going to put on a like regional house of worship conference, because it kind of lets you see what other people have done. So it's very cool. I enjoyed reading it.
And he does a great job of that. I mean, he loves this kind of stuff, and he's a perfectionist.
Yes,
like
he is.
Many of us. So therefore, I really appreciate the fact that he kind of details how he does this every year. And you and I saw Jacob at Sarah's wedding.
Yes, we did. Yeah. Well, I see him quite often, but that was the first time you had seen him in quite a while, I think, right?
I think so. I can't remember when I think I saw him at a football game or something like that.
He said he saw you recently also.
We were in
Charlotte.
In Charlotte for that
football
football
game.
At the
lobby of his hotel.
Yeah, we stayed in the same hotel.
Yes, because he works the UNC games. He helps with production on those, and you were attending the UNC game, and y'all happened to be staying in the same hotel, which I thought was so funny.
Oh, the fans came to the game, but the team forgot to come to the game.
Oh yeah, that's true. They had a moment.
Yes.
But I think that's all we had for our show this time, Gary. It's been lovely as always.
It is.
And we will see you, everyone else, next week, 12 p.m. Eastern, Wednesday. We'll see you then. This has been rAVe TV. Thank you.
It's the weekly show about Pro AV with the hottest news in the AV industry. It's rAVe TV. Give it up for Steph and Gary. Steph and Gary.